they always said I'm wrong, but what they doing today? I think they want me gone, but I ain't going away. They told me I was wrong, but look at my ass today. Da 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 da.
Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Tim for The Real Sports Talk. You can follow me on Twitter at CashKelly_TRST. And one of our fans of our show at LeoR77 hit me up today. I was watching a big movie all night, and I just kind of tuned out sports for about 2 hours. And the second I do that, I can watch sports all day, nothing will happen. The second I do that, Zack Greinke gets traded and I'm late on it. So to help us talk about this Zack Greinke trade, we have Justin in here from Franchise Sports Talk and also The Real Sports Talk. And we have Richard, therealsportstalk.wordpress.com, MLB rumors analyst. So Richard, we will start with you. The Angels acquire Zack Greinke, and not only do they acquire him, but the Rangers don't get him. And what they give up is top infield prospect Gene Segura and Double-A right-handers Ariel Pena and John Hellwig. That comes off MLB Trade Rumors. How does this change the landscape of the entire AL West now?
Well, I mean, I don't think they'll catch the Rangers, but I think that they've pretty much solidified a spot for the one of the two wild card spots. Their rotation is just stacked now.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And you think about this, Justin. Let's break this down. Who exactly they have in this rotation? Let's think about this. Jared Weaver, C.J. Wilson, who's having probably the best season of his career. You got Irvin Santana. Who am I missing? I'm missing somebody big.
You got Irvin Santana, Garrett Richards, C.J. Wilson, Dan Herron, and then you got Zack Greinke in this pitching rotation.
Yeah, so Garrett Richards will likely be out of the picture, won't he?
You can say that, but I think the Los Angeles Angels, what they're going to be planning on doing is they have a decision to make right here. Are they going to put Garrett Richards down in AAA for the Salt Lake City Bees and have him work on his pitching mechanics, or are you going to give him a shot and keep him up at the major league level and put him into the bullpen as a middle type in reliever? I mean, the bullpen has not been really that too amazing this year. They need some help with the bullpen. I think Garrett Richards could be that guy to help out a little bit, but that's just a possibility right there.
All right, and let's react a little bit more because I know you're a big Angels guy. The idea of getting Zack Greinke into this rotation, how much does that excite you as an Angels fan?
I'm really excited to have him come in. I mean, the Angels, this whole AL West is open right now, besides the Seattle Mariners who are 16 games back. But it's these three teams. You got the Rangers, the Angels, and the Athletics who have somehow found their way back into contention to get a chance to win this AL West. But you know, with Zack Greinke coming in here, it's gonna help out. This team is one of my favorites to get in as a wild card. I wouldn't expect them to beat the Rangers out for the American League West title, but this team going into the playoffs is going to have the most dangerous pitching rotation ever. I mean, it's just going to be shut down.
Well, I don't know if I'd say ever, because you had the Giants rotation, you had the Phillies rotation, you've had some other really good rotations, but it's certainly up there. You're right. I don't think that they're going to catch them, and as much as the A's have been a nice story, I just cannot see the A's kind of hanging in there. But when it gets to the playoffs, I've been thinking about this. You put this rotation up against Texas. You put this up against New York when you don't even know what you have with CC and Andy Pettitte right now. You put this rotation up against Detroit or any team that you could possibly have. Really, their biggest test in the playoffs could very well be just winning that one game to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, it could be. And if you think back to the beginning of the season, they got Ernesto Frieri for pretty much nothing, and he's been pretty much lights out. I think Garrett Richards will probably be the odd man out. I wouldn't put him in the bullpen so he doesn't develop some more major league service time, prevent the Super 2 status. I think Irvin Santana will be there, the number 5 guy. Hopefully he turns it around. If not, they could explore some trade opportunities for him. But as of right now, yeah, I think that's going to be their biggest problem is winning that first game. But if they can win it, I mean, you think about that 1-2-3 punch. You got Weaver,
You don't want to leave out Dan Harriman.
And then you had Dan Aaron in there, who a few times in his career has been in Cy Young contention. Maybe not with the Angels, but you had Dan Aaron in there as your number 4 starter. It's similar to how the Phillies had Roy Oswalt, or how the Giants had Madison Bumgarner. People are just going to kind of forget about that 4th starter, but if you make it to a 7-game series, you need that 4th starter in pretty much every scenario, unless you're going to go with a 3-man rotation. And to have Dan Herron as that 4th starter when some of the other teams will be throwing out pitchers. Dan Herron, let me put it this way. The the Angels' number 5 starter might be as good as the Tigers' number 2 starter. I'm putting it that way. With Zack Greinke, the one question a lot of teams have had is the anxiety issues. I'm going to make this about as clear as I can. Just because the guy had depression problems early on in his career in Kansas City, I think that maybe he's a strange guy or whatever. But I'm not saying that just because you had depression issues you're strange. But I think that everyone's kind of we're looking too far into this. I don't think that Zack Greinke will have any issues adjusting to pitching in Anaheim. That's my thoughts. I don't know what you guys think, but I think that everyone is kind of overreacting to the whole he has anxiety issues. Richard, what do you think first?
Well, LA's not exactly huge. I mean, it is a pretty huge media outlet, but I don't think the pressure will be there. I mean, if I was him, I'd try to adjust to, actually winning. The Brewers don't seem to be doing that, so, and the Angels are. So I think you got to put that into perspective. I remember back when he was first traded to the Brewers, I remember him being quoted saying that he just wanted to hit. Well, he can't do that in LA, obviously, but he can adjust to potentially winning a championship after being with the Royals, who obviously didn't do anything. Making the playoffs with the Brewers, but that didn't go anywhere. And now the Brewers, if he stayed with them, would be finishing somewhere in the 4th, 3rd place range in the NL Central. So, I don't think it'll be a big concern.
Justin, what do you think?
Well, for 28-year-old Donald Zachary Greinke, I don't see anything like being a problem with him adapting to the environment in Los Angeles. I think he's going to be set to go. He has a big opportunity to win a championship, even with this pitching rotation as it is and the hitting behind him. He's set to go.
Yeah, I agree with that. And we'll see. Maybe he doesn't adjust to it, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think that it's the same when Yu Darvish came to America. Just because some other Asian pitchers didn't do well, that doesn't mean Yu Darvish isn't going to do well. Just because Zack Greinke has like a depression issue, let me put it that way. I don't know what his current state is, but I know that he was out of the MLB when he had those issues. He cleared it up, and that was before he even won his Cy Young with the Royals. We're talking 3 or 4 years ago at this point. He came back in the bullpen, worked his way back in, won a Cy Young, and his career's been going on strong since then. Doug Melvin, the GM of the Brewers, and I know that he's not going to say that he can't adjust to a big market because then his trade value goes down, but I really truly think that Doug Melvin did believe this when he said that he's going to be able to adapt to any market we trade him to. They didn't trade him to Philly. They didn't trade him to New York or Boston. They didn't even trade him to the Dodgers, who still get a little bit more coverage in L.A. They traded him to the team that, hate it or love it, is still probably the 2nd most popular team in L.A., and it's probably not fair, but that's the way it is. We look at this Angels team right now, and I'm going to put you guys on the spot. You have a chance to re-pick from the beginning of the season your American League champion. And Richard, I don't know what you picked, but I know what Justin picked. Justin, we'll begin with you. If you had to right now pick an American League champion, who is it?
This is tough right here, man. I mean, I want to go with the Angels, but you know what? I have to go with the team that has excellent hitting. I mean, the pitching, it's a little bit questionable, but it's in good shape right now. I'm going to keep my pick. I'm going to go with the New York Yankees.
I picked the Yankees as well at the beginning of the season. I'm having a tough decision right now. I think it's a matter of a lot of how well do Mark Trumbo and Mike Trout, can they play through this full season at the same level that they're at, and can this Angels bullpen hold up? A few other things, and does this starting rotation work out well? Does Zack Greinke work out well? So I'm not necessarily going to change my prediction for the Yankees, but that doesn't mean that I'm not saying that the Angels could not win. Richard, what do you think?
Well, as of right now, I think I'd have to go. Yeah, I'd to agree with the Yankees as well. I like the Rangers a lot, but they're not nearly as good as they were last year. You look at Mike Napoli, he's not playing as well. The rotation's kind of in shambles after all these injuries. I mean, if they acquire somebody like the James Shields, that could probably help. But the Angels, they still worry me a little bit. If you look at Dan Aaron, his Sierra, which is another ERA predictor, is close to 4. And I know that he's been having struggles this year, and I really don't believe Irvin Santana. I mean, you could put any one of us 3 out there, and I'm sure we'd fare a little bit better than him. I like their bullpen a little bit. I like Frieri a lot. I love Frieri, but I have to go with the Yankees. Their bullpen is stacked. These guys just hit home runs all day. That's what they depend on. Curtis Granderson had another grand slam tonight. You got the 55-year-old Raul Ibanez hitting bombs like it's no tomorrow. I have to go with the Yankees.
Hey, I mean, I'm not a Yankees fan. Richard's not a Yankees fan, and we're fans of teams that are somewhat considered rivals of the Yankees. So certainly we're not picking this as a homer of the New York Yankees. I think that the Texas Rangers, and this is another report from MLB Trade Rumors. Well, if you have not gone on this website, you're not a real baseball fan. Mike Alt, the third base prospect that we heard tossed around a lot when Cole Hamels was still available. It sounds like they would have been willing to give him up for Cole Hamels, or maybe even Cliff Lee, if Cliff Lee's contract was not such a huge thing to take on. But they're not willing. They obviously can't do it now with Cole Hamels because he signed that ridiculous extension. And then Cliff Lee's just making too much money over the long term that they are not willing to take on that amount of money and give up a prospect at the same time. So essentially, if the Phillies are going to have to trade him, they're either going to have to eat a lot of the money, which would make it almost pointless, or they're going to have to just give him up for basically free, almost like a waiver deal type deal. And you know that you don't want to do that with Cliff Lee, as bad a season as he's had. The thing with the Rangers, though, is now I think they're going to get desperate to the point where they'll either get James Shields or Josh Johnson, and then they'll probably have to overpay for whoever they get. And that's the one reason I think you have Adrian Beltre under contract for the long term. You have a lot of hitting there. You're a big, really big market team. And I think that you could have given up Alt here, even though he's probably more value than what Zack Greinke is. You probably could have given him up here and been all right. I don't know. That's my thoughts on it. And guys, Sports Illustrated said at the beginning of the year, and I think it's coming to fruition now, it was the Yankees and Red Sox forever. The power has shifted to the West Coast in the MLB to the point where the Rangers and the Angels run the MLB right now. Right now, I mean, things could change, but they run the MLB right now, and they may be doing it for a long time. If you look at some of the talented prospects, talented young players that they have on both of these squads, it very well could be this way for a long time to come, and it's nice to see some fresh change in the MLB. Hey, we've seen a great trade deadline so far. Hanley Ramirez traded, tons of other trades. Wandy Rodriguez. Justin, who else am I missing?
Brett Myers. There's just so many trades that went down. Ichiro Suzuki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a great trade deadline because it's had a mix of guys get traded, guys re-sign. It's just overall been a great trade deadline. I've enjoyed doing it. And the bottom line is that there's still 4 or 5 days until the actual trade deadline. I mean, I don't know. There's 4 days until the MLB trade deadline, 4 p.m. on Tuesday. So, who knows? Something else could come up in the next 4 days. Along with Richard Janford of therealsportstalk.wordpress.com. Check out his blog on Zack Greinke. It will be up shortly if it's not up when you're watching this video. And then check out Justin on franchisesportstalk.com. This is a classic TRST video with the original 3, Tim, Justin, and Richard. The original 3 as far as the baseball part is concerned, without the one other guy that used to be on with us. But anyway, we'll see you guys later.